Did you know that you should be doing regular brand cleanups? If you didn't know that, you're not alone because it's very uncommon for our clients to actually know before we work with them that they should be doing this on a regular basis. And a lot of times they don't even realize that we do it on their behalf. I spent the better part of today reviewing brand messaging updates across a couple of different client presences and realized that we should probably do a video on what this means, how to do it, where to update, and what to look for. I'm Courtney Gulster. I'm the founder and president of Amplify Marketing, and I am a digital marketing expert. I work with financial service firms, professional service firms, community banks, and health tech organizations to spark growth by leveraging digital marketing to support the sales process. So, what is a brand cleanup? Really, where we like to start with a brand cleanup is with the brand message. Oftentimes during the year, there are different updates either within an organization or within an industry that necessitate a little bit of change to how you position yourself. That could be speaking to new legislative updates, that could be speaking to industry changes, that could be you've changed the products or services that your company provides to clients. And we just need to adjust how we're talking about you and what we're putting out into the world to make sure that you're consistently sharing the same message online with your prospects and when you go out in person to meet with people or go to events. So, how often should you be doing that? For most of our clients, that's an annual thing. We're just going to take a look and see if anything's changed. It's not even always a formal process, but it is something that you should intentionally do at least once a year. And you should take into account what's changed. So before you even go and review your brand message, think about what's changed and how you've been selling. What are some of those key differentiators that you've been using within your prospect network to sell your organization? What have you been telling them? What have you been talking about? Bullet those things out because those are things that should be at least somewhat incorporated into the messaging that you're using across all of your materials. So then the next thing that you want to do is you want to just make a Word document that kind of compiles what you want your brand message to be. Now, you may have one of these already created that you can work from and incorporate some of those changes, or you might have to start from scratch. A lot of companies, if they haven't done this before, they don't have one centralized place where they house their brand message. So having that is really great because it helps you keep your entire organization on the same page. You can be really consistent and clear with who you are and what you do. And it makes this whole process of updating your presence across the board a lot easier, both in terms of what we're going to do in year one and what we're going to do in subsequent years, because you're working off of one specific document. So this annual adjustment could be very minor language tweaks, or it could be major product and service changes. So it really depends on what's happening in your organization and your industry. And it may vary from year to year. You may go 5 years with barely any change to your brand message and then suddenly completely essentially rebrand yourself. So that is the first place to start, is kind of identifying what your core differentiators are, what is your brand message, and getting that updated and involving all of the stakeholders within your organization to make sure you're all on the same page and that everybody's in agreement as to what that brand message actually is. So once you have that, the next place that you need to start is reviewing your online presence. So that means starting with your website, doing a review and update, and making sure that your message is consistent between what you've created and what you're displaying to the world on your website. Your website is the first place that people go when they're looking to work with you. So you need to make sure that the message that you're communicating to within your sales, the sales side of your organization, is consistent with the message that a prospect's going to find on your website. That goes hand in hand with updating all of your business listings. And that is something that you should be looking at fairly regularly to make sure that your address, your phone number, and then, if you have any statements about who you are, what you do, what products you have across the internet, that those are updated regularly as well, or at least peeked at to make sure that they're displaying the right information. It's a good practice even outside of your brand update to do that once a year. The next place that you need to start looking at updating your brand message is actually all of your sales materials. So one pagers, sales slicks, product sheets, all of those things should be reviewed and updated. And I would actually recommend taking that a step further and building out a collateral plan to understand what materials you have, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of, what needs to be updated, and what you're missing. So if you have kind of that hierarchical look at what brand materials your sales team is using, and you can go through that with them, or that you have created, go through it with them to see what they're using and what they would like, what would help them do a better job selling, then you can identify what's most important, and you can work towards getting those either updated, created, or removed from your system. I also always recommend saving all of those final files in a centralized place with a file folder that says final sales materials for whatever year it is. That makes sure that everybody's using the most accurate version of the files instead of digging back into old versions where a lot of people on your team probably save files to their computer and they go back and reuse those instead of going to like a centralized file on the company database. So if you put all of those in one file folder and just tell them to re-download the 2024 file folder, then they have all of that in one centralized location. Then the next thing that you're going to do is look at your social media marketing. So you're going to work with your marketing team or your social team to start updating that brand message. You're not going to go back in time and update any of that content that's already gone out, but you are going to look at how you can change that message going forward and whether you need to start creating content around a different set of brand messages or a different set of industry concerns or things like that based on how you're adjusting your brand message. And then finally, you're going to identify based on those changes that you made, whether there are any potential webinar or video topics you should be creating, because your brand message adjustments, those changes are coming from changes either within your organization or within your industry. And so those are typically great topics for video and webinar content that you can be using to not only communicate with existing clients and prospects, but also to attract new potential customers for your business. So I hope that's helpful. I hope it was easy to understand why this is important and how to do it and where to update your message. If you have questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on the screen. It's also down below, and I will see you soon. Bye.